Welcome to EVTN News, your source for Catholic news, your primary source for Catholic news, maybe, I don't know. At least we identify as that. So I want to start out the last EVTN. I talked about how the Fairfield Carmelite nuns have contradicted Lifelike News, but it actually wasn't the case. There was a comment from Lily who said that they didn't actually contradict anyone or anything that had been reported by LifeSite. Um, she said what these nuns are doing is simply trying to quiet the laity so that Rome does not come down even harder and quicker on them. I don't know what their strategy is, but this is purely about appeasing a tyrant out of fear. So that's that on that end. And I want to get into EVTN news. And actually, I do have another story coming up at some point, so hopefully you will stay tuned and hopefully you will tune in for that. It's kind of a bigger story, so I didn't want to cover it on EVTN News. And anyway, let's get going. There is a relevant bishop who jumped rope to a techno song on TikTok. Now, this was in the Bamberg Archdiocese of Germany. And let me check and see 1 second here. Let me check the settings of this video. Thank you for joining me, everyone. So the Bamberg Archdiocese of Germany, this Archbishop Ludwig Schick, 72 years old, he presented a video on April 22nd of himself jumping rope to a techno variant of What's Up by a band called Four Non-Blondes, and the Archdiocese of Bamberg, Germany opened an account on the social media platform TikTok and posted it. The Archdiocese writes that they want to captivate enthusiasm for church topics. Is jumping rope a church topic? Maybe in Germany. Anything's possible, right? Okay, the International Union of Superiors General is scheduled to meet in Rome from May 2nd to 6th for its 22nd plenary assembly, which will bring together some 700 religious of 71 different nationalities. 521 superior generals are expected to attend in person to discuss the theme, Embracing Vulnerability in the Synodal Journey. Wow. This is a women religious meeting. 10 key speakers will lead reflections on the focus theme of synodality from 5 perspectives: vulnerability, synodal process, religious life and synodality, peripheries, and calls to transformation. Okay, so do traditional religious orders count as being on the peripheries? Because I can tell you of a religious order that right now is being persecuted on the peripheries by the Vatican. And when is the conference on the catastrophic decline of women religious numbers since Vatican II? Is there going to be a conference for that? Probably not anytime soon, unfortunately. But will there be a conference on that before all women religious vocations are, go away, fade away? I don't know. But you can't have those traditionalists, right? Because they're growing. Cardinal Maradiaga resigns. A few days ago during Holy Week, during the celebration of the Chrism Mass in Honduras, Cardinal Oscar Andres Rodriguez Maradiaga announced his retirement. Cardinal Maradiaga announced his retirement at the precise moment when former President Juan Orlando Hernandez is extradited to the United States to be tried for drug trafficking and other crimes committed during a dictatorship marked by utter corruption and full of outrages against citizens. Maradiaga, this was according to Marco Tassati, Maradiaga was visibly colluded with that regime which transformed Honduras into a narco state. If you want to read more, you can read the description, the links in the description. And also recently, Maradiaga announced he would write a book about the new Vatican Constitution. Pope Francis has praised Honduran Cardinal Oscar Rodriguez Maradiaga for a new interview in which the president of the Council of Cardinal Advisors discusses the new Apostolic Constitution, Predicte Evangelium, and the reform of the Roman Curia. In a preface to a book-length interview with Cardinal Oscar Rodriguez Maradiaga on the Apostolic Constitution, Pope Francis says the Honduran prelate and head of the Council of Cardinals adequately unravels the meaning and itinerary of this meticulous and decisive work of revision and proposals. So there you go, writing a book on something absolutely no one cares about. Maybe there might be some PhDs from Jesuit universities, so maybe not no one, but most people don't care about it. Now we're kind of getting to one of the big stories. The FSSP. According to an article published in a French magazine, Pope Francis received the leadership of the French Bishops' Conference in Rome just a few weeks after their spring plenary assembly in Lourdes. According to bishops at the meeting, the Pope began by recalling emphatically that the decree of February 11th, according to which priests of the FSSP are not affected by the restrictions of the motu proprio, may continue to celebrate Mass according to the Missal of 62, came from him. Immediately afterward, however, Pope Francis emphasized the second paragraph of this decree, which states the FSSP priests may use this faculty in their own churches or oratories only, and that otherwise, the 1962 Missal may only be used with the consent of the ordinary of the place, except for the celebration of private masses. According to Monsignor de Molins Beaufort, the Archbishop of Reims and the head of the French Bishops' Conference, Francis also insisted, this is key, that all priests, regardless of their affiliation, must concelebrate at the annual Chrism Mass. So he's basically saying the FSSP needed to celebrate at the Chrism Mass. Now, I would imagine none of them did. This most recent Easter season, or well, Lent, I guess. This most recent Lent, I would imagine none of the FSSP priests concelebrated, which I believe is an innovation of Vatican II as it is. So it's not even in the liturgical rubrics. But that's something, I don't know. Do you think they will? I mean, they have a year to figure it out. Maybe we'll have a new pope by then. I'm not getting all bent out of shape about that, but it's certainly concerning on their end. Bishops might try to force them to do something they don't want to do, and are they going to lie? No, they're not going to lie. They're just not going to do it. Less than a year after Pope Francis strengthened the Code of Canon Law section on crimes, he had issued an apostolic letter, motu proprio, on his own initiative that alters the wording of one of the canons. As a result of the change, members of religious institutes who sexually abuse minors and other vulnerable persons or who commit canonical offenses related to child pornography will no longer be automatically dismissed from their religious institutes. Prior to this change, they were automatically dismissed. In addition, members of religious institutes who force someone to perform or submit to sexual acts will no longer be automatically dismissed from their religious institutes. There you go. Yeah, we're definitely on the side of the victims, right? It doesn't appear, I don't know, is the Vatican on the side of the victims? I don't know. Kind of an awkward place to be. Francis appointed on April 27th the Plymouth, England, Bishop Mark O'Toole to the Cardiff Archdiocese, which will absorb the Menevia Diocese. O'Toole is a former private secretary of... Well, okay, I'm going to start. One thing... Okay, so Francis appointed on April 27th the Plymouth, England, Bishop Mark O'Toole to Cardiff Archdiocese, which will absorb the Menevia Diocese. So this new bishop takes over a diocese and it absorbs an existing diocese. So will we see more of that? I think I'm going to have more on that in next week's EVTN, and I might have a little bit more in-depth commentary. The part I wanted to point out here, besides, I mean that's significant because that's basically eliminating a diocese, and I don't know. I mean, a smaller church. Are the Francis bishops gonna have more control? I want to see a lot more bishops because then that means that we have more chances of traditional bishops that'll help us out. But if we had a traditional pope, which probably isn't going to happen for quite a while, then I would like to see less dioceses. So I don't know. It goes both ways. But um, O'Toole is a former private secretary of from 2002 to 2008 of Westminster Cardinal Cormac Murphy O'Connor, who died in 2017, who was involved in the St. Gallen Mafia, and who appointed O'Toole rector at Allen Hall Seminary in September 2008. In Plymouth, O'Toole, the new bishop, has celebrated the Latin Mass, and Catholics call him one of the better ones. Interesting. Time will tell. McCarrick also has a bunch of former associates that are bishops. Are they good ones? Nah, they have proven not to be. But we'll see about this guy. The Augsburg, Germany Bishop Bertram Meyer will ordain on May 28th deacons for the FSSP, whose seminary is located within the Augsburg Diocese. Meyer is a questionable character. He announced in June 2021 on the state TV that he is ready to bless LMNOP couples. Okay, is that really the guy that the FSSP wants to associate with? Seems kind of sketchy to me. Pope Francis's April 2nd and 3rd visit to Malta cost 4 million euros. According to the I think like conversion to the United States, that might be maybe about 6 million euros, roughly. I don't know. Malta paid 3 million euros, and the other 1 million came from the local dioceses. There's criticism about questionable expenses, among them the famous 45,000 euro ramp. It's a ramp, like a ramp thing. Anyway, it was used for 3 minutes and later dismantled. 45,000 euros. The nuncio also took the opportunity to renovate his abodes to host Francis for one night. In Vienna, a climbing wall has been built in Vienna's cathedral, Vienna, Austria. The structure stands in the nave, is 7 meters high, and part of the Be Blessed.at, which is, I'm guessing it's Austria, campaign, where the high school graduates who finish school next year can sign up for a prayer. Father Nicholas Kraska, Vienna's Vicar General, considers the climbing wall a symbol for the last meters of the school career. He even climbed the wall himself during a service. And the cardinal who is responsible for this cathedral is Cardinal Christoph Schönborn. Are you surprised? No. Catholic schools in San Diego held synod group discussions for students. St. Charles School in South Bay held 8 synod sessions for its students in 5th to 8th grades from March 28th to April 4th, said Sylvia Benning, the principal. This actually was kind of a funny article to read. San Diego is obviously Bishop McElroy's territory. She said, "I wish I could say that the students shared freely, but that wasn't our experience. They were somewhat hesitant. As soon as one student passed on a question, many others passed or said they felt the same as another student that had already shared." One of the questions in the session asked participants to share a time when they felt joy in the church. The principal said this was the easiest question for the youngsters. For most, it revolved around receiving sacraments. The most challenging was when the students had to share a time when they felt disappointment in the church. She said, "My honest opinion was these students were too young to offer many insights. However, I feel the synodal process, introducing the synodal process and reasons behind it, was of great importance." No, it really wasn't, because if you wait, you just wasted their time. And the whole idea of the synodal process is a waste of everyone's time too, because we all know that they don't care about your opinions. The Vatican has their agenda, and they're going to just determine whatever they want. There's also a student synod in Oakland, California. Collected in Joe Lozano's 8th grade classroom are almost 30 blue and yellow sticky notes with student wishes for the Catholic Church, including, "I wish the Church would voice strong support for the LMNOP community. I wish the Church would help more mental health victims. I wish the Church would help build more community." Okay, well, mental health victims. What's that? A victim of mental health? I don't get it. But anyway, "I wish the church would help build more community." Well, you see that at the Latin Mass. Let these students go to the Latin Mass. But I don't think that's the intention here. Let's see. Leading a synod on synodality process, complete with listening sessions and a report to the diocese, wasn't something Lozano was asked to do. He chose to do it. Okay, that's odd. One of the things that really, Lozano says, one of the things that really impressed me is how much these kids, if you put them in the right space, have so much to say. My little discussion that I'm having with my students might not be the most fruitful thing for the diocese or for the entire Catholic faith, but to build a set of kids who are willing to have these conversations and who can have these conversations, I'm looking forward to that future peace. So if it's not the most fruitful thing for the diocese or the Catholic faith, then why are you doing it? It makes no sense. What about to the student that said, "I wish the church would voice more support for the LMNOP community"? Why don't you read them the Catechism of Trent, where it talks about LMNOP? Or why don't you read them the first chapter of the book of Romans, where it talks about LMNOP? And then maybe they'll understand. Why don't you accompany them back to the Catholic faith? And if you wish the church would help build more community, why don't you dialogue with them and then accompany them to a Latin Mass? Yeah, let's have these students speak out about their opinions and let them think that their opinions are right and all their opinions matter. Because when it comes down to church doctrine, I don't know, it's the priesthood of the people. Doctrine is more of a guideline. It's not a rule, right? This is new Pentecost. Everyone's inspired by the Holy Spirit. Surprises of the Holy Spirit. All right, enough on that. Bishop Daniel Fernandez Torres of Arecibo, Puerto Rico, the removed bishop, wrote in December 2021 to Cardinal Mark Olet, prefect of the Congregation of Bishops. He said, "Offering my resignation would be the same as declaring myself guilty of something which I am consciously innocent, and would imply becoming an accomplice in the way of proceeding that is foreign to in a way of proceeding that is foreign to the Church. That I have been disobedient to the Pope is a totally false statement. However, in an unacceptable way, I am told to submit my resignation under the pretext that failure to do so would be taken as evidence of the disobedience to which I am falsely accused." So this letter was one of several in which Fernandez pushed back on a Vatican request for his resignation. So the Vatican was trying to get him to resign voluntarily. He refused, and so they forced his hand and forced him to resign. And who was behind it? Cardinal Cupich. 4 priests of the Diocese of Arecibo in Puerto Rico said they were told that Cardinal Blaise Cupich of Chicago made a secret apostolic visit there prior to the removal of their bishop Fernandez-Torres, an investigation by the ACI Prensnov has found. The four priests spoke to this news organization, which is Catholic News Agency's Spanish language sister news agency, on condition of anonymity for fear of reprisals. The Archdiocese of Chicago did not respond to ACI Prensa's request for comment. I wonder why. The priest told the news agency that days after Torres' dismissal, they were summoned with other clergy of the diocese to a meeting with Arecibo's Apostolic Administrator Bishop Emeritus Alvaro Corrada del Rio of Mayagüez. So that must be the current Arecibo Apostolic Administrator. Questioned about what some saw as Torres' unjust dismissal, the Jesuit Bishop Emeritus told the assembled priests and deacons that the Vatican secretly had sent Cupich to the diocese as an apostolic visitor to investigate Torres at the end of October last year, four priests told ACI Prensa. Cupich visited Puerto Rico between October 25th and October 28th in his capacity as a Chancellor of Catholic Extension, the U.S. organization that raises funds for projects to help Catholic dioceses in need. Why did Cupich go to Puerto Rico? Well, it appears that he wanted to remove a traditionalist who was anti-jab. And so he used this fake immigration visit as a reason to remove a traditional bishop. I don't know. Sounds really shady. And Cardinal Cupich, he's a pretty shady guy. So that's what you get. All right, Bishop Calvin Klein, you remember him? A group of priests in the Swiss Diocese of Chur, Switzerland, the Swiss Diocese of Chur, Switzerland, has raised concerns over a new code of conduct for the prevention of assault, claiming it violates the doctrine and discipline of the Catholic Church in several instances. We call him Bishop Calvin Klein. His real name is Bishop Joseph Bonamain. He is a bodybuilder, and what it looks like, he wears tight Calvin Klein shirts. That's why you call him Bishop Calvin Klein. He actually kind of looks like Lord Voldemort in some of his pictures. I don't know. The resemblance is kind of striking. He is Opus Dei as well, so you can't criticize him, right? Secrecy. Anyway, Bishop Joseph Bonamain signed the Code of Conduct himself in early April. So, in a letter to all parishes seen by the German Catholic News Agency, the bishop said that the code would be binding for all leaders and employees from the middle of 2022 onwards. The declaration of commitment would be then kept in the personnel file. What's in this code? Well, according to the code, priests must agree with the following sentence. I refrain from sweeping negative assessments of allegedly unbiblical behavior based on sexual orientation. I refrain from sweeping negative assessments of allegedly unbiblical behavior based on sexual orientation. So basically, don't talk about LMNOP unless it's in a positive manner. I wonder what St. Paul would do if he told that to St. Paul. Would St. Paul slap him in the face? Probably should. With the Code of Conduct, priests and others involved in pastoral care would declare that, quote, I refrain from any form of discrimination based on sexual orientation or identity, and I recognize sexual rights as human rights, especially the right to sexual self-determination? What the heck does that even mean? I think it means it means that LMNOP people, you can't discriminate. So what does it mean not to discriminate against LMNOP people? Does that mean like in terms of marriage, in terms of hiring practices? Because most Catholic dioceses still have in place a code of conduct where they said where employees sign that says they will adhere to all of the church teachings and doctrines. And so if you support LMNOP, then you are opposed to church doctrine. So that's grounds for firing. You have no case in a court of law. I recognize sexual rights as human rights. That is completely contrary to the Catholic faith. Marriage is not a right. It's not. So how can you recognize it as a right? Especially the rights. This guy is just completely nuts. And who's going to do anything about it in the Vatican? There are priests that are unhappy about this. That's good. And we see in these last two articles, priests are speaking up. They're sick of it. They're fed up. These 4 priests in Puerto Rico are saying, hey, this is completely wrong. It's completely out of line. Cupich is completely out of line. Good. You know, it would have been nice to see priests speak up in Cupich's former diocese and his current diocese against him. It would have been nice to see that. These priests in Switzerland are raising concerns. It would be nice to see priests in the Diocese of Lexington, Kentucky, or the Diocese of San Diego, or the Archdiocese of Newark, New Jersey. I don't know. Are they all grinder priests? Several of them are, apparently. Or, I don't even know. Washington, D.C., even New York. I mean, I don't think Dolan is actively supportive of the LMNOP network, but he's certainly tolerant of them. And I think we need more and more priests to stand up and speak out. And you know what? They're going to have all the leverage, because if you have even, say, 5 priests in an archdiocese that are removed, what's going to happen? Who's going to take their places? No one, right? Maybe there will be, but they're going to have to force some priests to cover several different parishes. Okay. So what are they going to do? Are they going to speak up, speak out? Father Mark Goring did that and his superiors shut him down. But it doesn't hurt to do it as a group. I think we need more and more of them to do that. And you don't have to speak out against everything. You know? I mean, everyone expects, say, Bishop Strickland, everyone expects him to speak out against every single thing that Pope Francis, we don't need him to do we don't need him to speak out against every single thing. But we do have a number of bishops who signed that letter against the German heretics. And it's not just Germany, it's all over. Do you think there's several bishops in the United States who support what they're saying in Germany? Absolutely. Bishop McElroy has advocated for women deacons. I mean, come on, that's heresy. Cardinal Cupich, did he write? I think he wrote what do you call it, an endorsement for James Martin's Building a Bridge book. Come on. Cardinal Tobin said he wanted to change the catechism to make it less offensive to LMNOP. Come on, people, wake up. This is happening. We got to stand up. Well, okay, living purgatory. Mental health is how the communists remove many problem children. Ooh. Slow roasted marshmallow. Cut all ties with the Novus Ordo. Makes sense. I feel so estranged to the new Mass. And blessed to realize it is a different religion. Yeah, that's a different topic for a different show. You know, I'm no fan of the Novus Ordo, but on this show we have people who watch, who attend the Novus Ordo. We have people who attend the Latin Mass. Not on this show, but the viewers of this show, some attend the Novus Ordo, some attend the Latin Mass, and I can't judge anyone for attending a specific Mass. What I can say is that there's certainly one Mass is certainly superior to the other, and that's not judgmental. That's just fact. Looking at it objectively. If you look at it objectively, one's better than the other. That's just how it works. Okay, can I waste enough time to take this to 30 minutes? No, I won't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end the show right here. So this has been EVTN News with John on the John the Son of Thunder channel. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.